Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ashes here, bringing you a roster update video. So I don't have a script wrote for this video. I really just wanted to give you guys some transparency on what's been going on behind the scenes, as I've done every time we've made a roster change, and kind of give an explanation a little bit into what we're thinking and what our roster is going to be going forward. So obviously in San Diego, it was the worst placement of at least my career and some of the guys' careers. You know, it was, we went 6-0 undefeated during the first split of the Pro League. We came out of that with a lot of confidence. We had won E-League, the first event kind of Gears 5. And so we were super excited to really showcase we were still the best, even with a new game and with our new org. And unfortunately, we weren't able to execute on our plan. And I think it came down to us being a little bit complacent and maybe a little bit ill-prepared, which I completely take blame for. But the screenshots that I shared at the time were genuine. We still loved each other. We still cared about each other, and we still wanted to work together as a team. In the past, we had made roster changes after losses, but based on events that had happened before the actual tournaments. So this was the first time where we had faced a loss and the community expected a roster change per tradition, and we didn't make one. We were confident that if we put the right effort into it, if we stepped up on individual levels, we could achieve the goals that we had set out for ourselves and the standards we had for ourselves. So fast forward to Mexico City, the biggest event. You know, we had gone through a really bad phase online. We were struggling to win scrims and take maps in scrims. It was really bad. We were changing spots on maps, hoping to find a working solution. And we were honestly just getting exposed and abused by other teams like Rise, Reciprocity, PK. You know, almost everybody was finding and exploiting weaknesses in our team. And no matter what we went over, how many VODs we watched, how many hours we spent outside of actual practice hours going over maps and strategies, it just seemed to fall apart. And we started realizing that the formula for this game was different than what it had been for Gears of War 4. And I'll touch on that a little bit more later. So we get to about a month out from Mexico City, and something starts to click for us. I'm starting to see a little bit more effort put in from everybody, just a little bit more. Everyone had been working hard, but just a tiny bit more effort. I saw motivation come in, and maybe that was because we got released from NRG and because egos were hurt, but we started putting in that extra little bit of power, and it started showing. We started taking scrims, we started performing better, and we started kind of closing the gap that we had built ourselves from us and our competition. But this time, you know, obviously they were ahead of us. As this gap started to close, we realized how short on time we were for Mexico City to properly prepare for the event. So we started using the resources that we had, like UMG Emergence Day series and our Pro League matches, to practice rather than to win. And some of those we still won, but there was definitely some UMG tournament type things where, you know, we put ourselves on maps that we weren't as strong at intentionally in order to practice, hoping that we can just finally iron out our game, because one of our weaknesses was our map pool. And we started to fix that coming into Mexico. We were comfortable on maps. We didn't have an auto ban. Our worst maps were now some of our best maps. And we were really starting to look like a formidable team again. We closed out the Pro League in second place. We took our match versus Rise, and we took our match versus Reciprocity, and we were feeling confident. And then we played almost like our old selves in the last UMG tournament. And that was the day before we traveled. It was unfortunate, but I don't think it had too much of an effect on us. We just knew we needed to shake it off. We knew what we could do. We had been seeing what we could do, and it was time to put that into action. So as we went to Mexico, we set up a scrimmage on Thursday during media day against Pittsburgh Knights. We played against them. I think we played 6 maps, and we did well on almost. We lost the first 2 and then won the next 4. It was we were starting to look good. And actually, I might have even have that wrong. We might have won the first one or lost the first one, won the second one. Either way, I think it was 4-2 in maps. And it's a scrim, but it was our chance to kind of show ourselves against a team that historically had been doing really well against us in scrims and matches online. It was a chance for us to test ourselves on LAN and to kind of bounce back that confidence from the UMG tournament. And Pittsburgh Knights were arguably favorites going into that tournament. Maybe not the tier 1 favorites. I think that Reciprocity still holds that, but they were definitely up there, expected to be, top 3. Friday, the tournament starts. Our matches were, we knew we were going to have a long road ahead of us. Fire and Ice, we had been scrimming a lot, and almost every scrim online went either round 9 or we lost. So we knew we were about to go to war against them, and we came out really strong. We 5-1 them on both maps. And to me, that was a little bit of a sigh of relief. Our game plan we were executing on, our confidence was back, and we were doing well. Our next was the biggest challenge for us mentally, playing Estral, the grand finalists and the runner-ups of San Diego. And we came out strong against them, and I think it was 5-3, 5-0. And again, we were super confident. We were playing our game. We were executing on our strategies, and we still had a lot left in the tank to save for the teams that, we were expecting to see when it became single elimination. And then we played our last match of pools, which was, or the Swiss bracket rather, which was Hive. And Hive had been looking pretty good. And we knew that they were a good team. They were obviously top 4 at the last event. So we knew we had to be able to step up to their level for this event as well. And we came out swinging. It was an early morning match. It was at 10 a.m., which was really unfortunate. And we still managed to come out swinging and do our job. The final match of our streak, our comeback revenge tour, I think it was called, was let's see, who do we play first round? Okay, so our first match of Swiss, or after Swiss bracket, was and into the single elimination bracket, was against an open bracket team. I don't remember. I think it was PDHM or something like that. I know it was like a bunch of New York players who were actually really talented. I knew we couldn't take them lightly. We had experience against some of them, but we never scrimmed them. We didn't have a chance to see any of their matches, so it was really an unknown, and we knew we had to come out swinging, and we did. We came out swinging. We played well. The second map started to look shaky though, and it was a little bit concerning for me because it was one of our better maps. It was District, and I was surprised to see a struggle in the way we were. It wasn't like they were doing anything spectacular that was catching us off guard. It was more just careless mistakes on our part. And it was starting to scare me because that's the type of thing that we did online and we had done in San Diego that caused us to lose. So we finished that match. We're done for matches for Saturday, and we knew Sunday was the big day. We had 3 matches ahead of us between us and a trophy. So we had, work to do, and they were going to be 3 tough matches. We knew Fire and Ice was up next, and we knew that we had then Reciprocity after that because they had gone 2-1 in their Swiss bracket, so they were on our side of the bracket. And then after that, probably PK or Rise or one of those other top teams. We played, we got up. We honestly, and this issue has been addressed since then, but we felt like we got the short end of the stick in some ways, having a second 10 a.m. match. And I feel for the boys of Fire and Ice as well. Both of our teams had played 10 a.m. on Saturday, and here we were playing 10 a.m. on Sunday as well. Like I said, that issue's been addressed. I don't think that that should have happened because that's not how it's happened in the past, where 10 a.m. teams have to play both days. It usually switches, but regardless, we knew that was what we had to deal with and what we had to do, and it's just one more obstacle in our way, and we had to take it out. So we're at the venue, we're ready. We started off really strong, like we did the very first match of the tournament against the same team. We started off with a 5-1 victory. And the map series, I don't have my book in front of me, but they were 3 of our best maps. Like, if we have a list of our top 4 maps, they are Exhibit, District, Icebound, and Vaskar. And we had Exhibit, District, and Vaskar. So we 5-1 them on Exhibit. We're feeling really confident. It was almost where it was easy. And again, no disrespect to Fire and Ice. And I think that might have made us let off the gas a little bit and fall back into that flow state where the effort wasn't fully there until maybe it was too late. We went up 3-1 on the second map, and honestly, we should have been up 4-0. And then we had a massive choke on that round 5, and from there it just fell apart to where we lost the map 5-3. It was super unfortunate, and Crystallize, I think, clutched up on that round 5. I think it was Crystallize, and they played out of their minds. I mean, they made a tremendous comeback from being down 8-1, 8-2 in a series, and if you count the first match, then, you know, that's another 10-2, so they were down 18-4 in rounds to us at that point, and they made a comeback. We go into the last map, and everything just... We still went up 3-1, but it was a lot more difficult, more difficult than it should have been. There was points where I was calling strategies for us to run because it just seemed chaotic and we weren't comfortable. And it wasn't even like they were throwing us new looks. It was just we weren't playing our game plan. And it felt like we were never on the same page. We were never in the right spots as a team across the map. And it was rough, and we ended up losing it. And it sent us home in the same placement that we'd had in San Diego, a top 8 placement, which is unacceptable in all of our minds. And so we knew that we had given it a try. We had tried to address our issues from San Diego and fix them. And then we lost in very similar fashions to how we did in San Diego. So it was time to really look at the VOD of that match and see what our issues were as a team and figure out what the solution was moving forward. For myself as a coach and for several members of the team, we realized that the formula has changed. In Gears of War 4, this roster, this you know, we joked about the Thanos glove of a roster. We could get away with a lot of things we probably shouldn't have been able to get away with because of individual skill. And Gears of War 5, the way Escalation 2.0 plays out with the limited lives and the limited respawns and just the elimination win condition, it is a lot more team oriented. You can't have a side of the map that loses. You can't have a hole in your defense. You can't have a weak spot in your offense. You have to be able to move around and pressure the entire map as a unit, or as, you know, split groups. So one of the things we noticed we were missing was a secondary voice, somebody who could help lead with Xplosive, because the way these maps are divided, he can't control every side of the map at the same time. So picturing a map like Vaskar, if he's on one side, he can't help create the initiative and the plays on the other side. So we needed somebody who could step up and be in that role. And there was definitely players on our team who tried, who would offer stuff like that, Mental, for example, but it's not the same as having a confident leader who can kind of secondary shot call like Xplosive can. And we tried it with me for a little bit, but online it's just unrealistic for me to be in that kind of position, despite it working. So we definitely need that from a player. And another weakness we realized in our team was we needed people who were willing to just be almost recklessly aggressive. People who could adapt to the meta changes and know when to put themselves and where to put themselves in different positions and be able to be flexible. And then sometimes you just have to make that kind of bad push, that bad play, and hope that your team supports you with it and your team backs you up with it and communicate that you're going to do that. And that was something that we were lacking. And so after painfully careful consideration, watching the replays back from scrimmages, from the tournament, specifically from our loss, we felt that our best move moving forward was to replace solars and summons and pick up players who could fill those holes on our team that I had mentioned. So when exploring our options, we felt that Kenny and Powerz were the best two possible choices and were on the top of our list of players that we wanted to see if we could pursue. Kenny brings that consistent gameplay and intelligent decision making, as well as of a secondary IGL and vocal leadership, something that we knew he did for every team he's had in Gears of War 5, as well as something he had on our roster in Gears of War 4. And we brought Powerz, who's highly regarded as one of the best players in Gears 5, if not the best. We feel like he's been able to adapt to every single meta change. He consistently makes himself relevant and pressures the map, even if he has to do it by himself. And he has that clutch factor that our team is known for, and we felt like his young talent fit that other gap of just somebody who could be aggressive, could put themselves in the right spots, could pressure the map, and really be that difference maker. That being said, it was really tough to release two players who are brothers. Alex is and Brian is, like, they both are family. They lived in the team house with Gilbert and Mental. They are tremendous guys. I just, like, sitting here talking about it, I just think of so many memories that I have with the two of them. They're going to be able to achieve big things, even if it's not on our roster. They're both amazing players, and I confidently believe that they can go to any single roster in this esport and make it a better team. I just think for what our team dynamic was and our formula was, it wasn't working. And based on our discussions and our reviews, what we set out to pursue made the most sense to us. And so going forward, our starting roster will be Mental, Xplosive, Praized, Kenny, and Powerz. We still have to figure out all of our spots on all the maps, but I'm super excited. At the point of the recording this, we haven't started scrimming yet, but we are soon. I'm super excited for what the future holds for us. I think this is a really dominant roster on paper. I think all of our gaps that we had have been filled. I think that we're the right formula again in order to be really successful in Gears of War 5 or Gears 5. And I'm just super excited and optimistic for the future. For the fans of our team, thank you so much for supporting us, and I hope you welcome Powerz and Kenny with open arms, as you always have. To the fans of Alex and Brian, who we might have pissed off, I get it. They're tremendous guys. They're amazing players, and I hope that you can understand that this was not a decision that we took lightly. It wasn't something that was easy, and we separated on pretty good terms with both of them. They're, as far as I know, it's still part of my wedding. So I'm excited to see what they accomplish as well on their new teams. Solar's going to the former Reciprocity roster, and Summon's going to the new Pittsburgh Knights roster. In terms of all the other roster changes and the org changes, I really don't have a lot of insight, and it's not my place to say anything. I just wanted to focus on our roster and our changes. Again, I hope you guys understand and support. We're excited to show you what we can do and bring back to you that dominance that we had in Gears of War 4. We're confident that we're going to be able to do that. We're confident in our team's abilities. We're confident in each other. We're confident in the work ethic that we have across the board. And we're excited to see and bring to the table what we have promised all along, and that's championships. So be excited with us. Make sure you support the guys. Follow them on all their channels. Show some love to our amazing org, UYU, who's been supporting us through all of this. They've done a tremendous job of really embracing the Gears of War scene, embracing our team, and supporting our decisions throughout this change. So give them a follow, show them some love, and thank you guys for watching the video. I will see you all in the next one.